Good afternoon, everyone. This is Pal Ponder on Weather, coming to you live here. Welcome to the live stream. We are doing live severe weather tornado coverage throughout the afternoon into the evening. It is going to be a significant day, folks, unfortunately, across portions of the Southeast and into the Ohio Valley. So let's go over the parameters. There's there's no severe thunderstorm warnings currently. There's actually no tornado warnings at the moment. So it's a good time to kind of go over what's happening, kind of give you a better assessment of what's going on out there and what's going to unfold. So this is the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center as of their noon advisory. We are looking for a severe weather outbreak is possible later on this afternoon through the evening across the Ohio Valley with the border severe weather risk, including parts of the Southeast. Strong and potentially long track tornadoes are possible from Indiana through Ohio southward into the Mid-South. A threat for strong tornadoes may focus this evening into tonight across parts of Alabama and Georgia. So it's kind of a complex scenario. We had some storms this morning. We're kind of getting a lull in the action before things really start to fire up this afternoon. So we're looking for a complex scenario later this morning with ongoing convection trailing with kind of some outflow across eastern Kentucky. Here's the overall parameters, and they did in fact have a pretty massive swath of a hatched risk that basically implies we have a big area that could actually see some of those strong tornadoes. That is that EF2 type variety. And whenever you see this highlighted shaded in yellow, that is a 10% probability. So that basically means there's a chance 10% with a tornado within 25 miles of any given point anywhere along this yellow shaded area. That does include Montgomery down here, Birmingham, into Atlanta, all the way up to Huntsville, back into Nashville, into Knoxville. Once you get up into portions of Kentucky as well as Ohio, that is increased to a 15%. That's the area that is a little bit greater concern that has an even higher chance, a more widespread chance to possibly see a strong tornado into the Lexington region, back into Louisville, as well as into Cincinnati. It does include in those areas in Columbus. So it's a pretty big, significant, outbreak is possible. So right now, we had, like I said, a lot of activity this morning. And we're kind of getting a lull in between systems where we're kind of waiting for that low level jet to catch up and tap into the warm sector because it's about 1:30. We're elevating the heat of the atmosphere. We're kind of reloading the atmosphere, if you will, and it's just going to be one of those days that could start off with a pretty active storm track coming in from the west. So let's take a look at the latest radar. What we're looking at here. Let me take these severe weather threats off and put the active tornado warning watches out there. Kind of show you what's the latest watches. How's everybody doing? So 15%. That's about as high as it gets, folks. I mean, for tornadoes, that's 15% probability in any given point of that area. So it doesn't really get much higher than 15%. Very rare you ever get 30%. So 15% is actually considered actually really high. All right, so let me put the all right, so here's your current this is your current tornado watches. So we've got a couple cells, just some mesoscale discussions, but this is your current watch right now. This is for about another 90 minutes or so. This area that's highlighted in yellow here could include possible tornadoes within this region. Nothing right now. So we are just looking at sporadic activity. There's a little cell that's coming across Evansville. It's got a little mesoscale discussion on it. That just basically implies it's about 50-mile-per-hour winds, some nickel-size hail. That one's terribly not to be too concerned about. So nothing's out of hand. This is probably a good time to kind of start the live stream because right now there's nothing like you're going to jump into it and there's like all these tornadoes on the ground. So right now the atmosphere is kind of resetting after we had a lot of activity this morning. It's actually been a pretty busy the last 24 hours or so. I can actually show you some of these storm reports from the nights before and also last night. So let's put on the last 24-hour storm reports. And if you were with me last night, we had this activity that kind of this all kind of started in the Texas region. So all these dotted shaded areas that included some larger hails. We had some baseball size hail by Abilene, an 88-mile-per-hour wind gust. Then that swath went through Justin, Texas, and left some 3-inch hailstones down there. We also had another swath that went through central Texas down in Fredericksburg into Austin. Those left some pretty large hail. And then once you swung up into the evening time, it kind of blew up again across north of Oklahoma City. And then we had all these numerous sporadic, damage reports that this supercell just went northeast into the overnight hours and left some significant hail in its wake and a lot of high winds. And if you click on a lot of these damage reports, a lot of tree damage out there. We had some significant damage into the overnight hours across Missouri and back into Jefferson City. We had some flash flood warnings at sometimes into St. Louis for a time being. So now the activities kind of past that area. Now we're mainly concerned about those areas into Tennessee. And you can see the beginning stages, I think, of what's to come. It's just now coming into the picture. We've got a line of thunderstorms just now kind of developing. This is the beginning stage of that low-level jet because we have the front back behind it. It's pretty cool behind that front. And those that got the storms last night are experiencing the cooler conditions. So here's where the front is right now. So you got basically all the activity ahead of the front, and that's the warm sector. That's where we got mainly concerned. So there was like a 1-2 punch. So if you're behind this main front here, you're experiencing some really nice conditions. This is very, very cool outside. I can feel the chill in Dallas here. And then also this low pressure center is winding up and lifting north. And eventually, once this moves through, this is actually going to all end in portions of Wisconsin as some snow, believe it or not, as we head into, tomorrow. So that's pretty significant in itself. Seeing some snow going to be flying on the backside of this system, because I mean it's still the first week in April. It's definitely not unheard of up there to see some snow this time of year. But right now we've got a pretty wide sector of a warm sector, essentially from where that cold front is all the way up for the warm front is. That's where the boundary. That's within that zone. You're basically under the gun of severe storms, basically right in this area. This is your highlighted favorite area for the next 24 to 36 hours, because it isn't in there. It's still likely going to be severe even as we head into tomorrow along the East Coast. So we're looking at some more severe storms even into tomorrow as these storms race off to the East Coast. But you can see all the wind reports as we had right now. This was the morning activity that went across Louisville, went across Evansville. So it's already left a pretty significant wake of activity that went eastbound through Louisville into Lexington, all the way into Huntington, back into Charleston. Those areas had some damage. And then even up here towards, getting into the Pittsburgh region, back into Morgantown. So we've already had some activity. It's just now in between systems, and we're kind of like reloading the atmosphere. Hey, Red, he just got on here. How is looking at anniversary for our tornado? Yeah, so thanks so much for tuning into the live stream. If you are new, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you hit the like button on this live stream. It lets people know that you value my content, and YouTube will share it with others. This important information about what's happening, what's going to unfold as we get deeper into this event. But right now, we're just looking at we got a couple cells. Let's talk about some of the warnings that are out there right now. Looks like there is one warning down there towards Fayette. That's into the Georgia region. That's like 1 inch hail, some 60-mile-per-hour winds. So this is on the borderline variety, uh, severe. So yeah, so this is the activity that we're definitely looking for to enhance as we get deeper into the afternoon. So you basically got the cold front back behind it. This is your warm sector. This is going to feed all this energy, and create all the updrafts. It's going to produce those towering supercell thunderstorms that once eventually it's that energy will swing into Nashville, all the way up into Ohio, and through Kentucky into Ohio. And what's forecasted is possibly strong tornadoes, if not some violent tornadoes that might come out of that activity. And then some of those could actually be some long track tornadoes. So your favorite area is going to be up there towards Kentucky. I would say eastern portions of Indiana, but especially into Ohio. Cincinnati was kind of the main hub for a lot of storm chasers out there. And then that's going to be your activity into the afternoon. But then there's going to be a second piece of energy further south. So as this gets going into the afternoon, I think this is going to be a nighttime threat swinging across Mississippi, back into Alabama, and eventually heading over into the Atlanta region as we get closer to that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight time frame. So it's probably a good time to look at kind of future radar and show you what's happening. So let's take the tornado watches off and show you what's going to happen in the future. This is your latest radar depiction on the HRRR. This is kind of the high resolution guidance. Kind of gives you a guidance of what may unfold and into the future. So if we look at the parameters here, let me put this back to the other model. All right. So let's let this run. Let's look at the 12. All right. So the new one's actually going to be updating here shortly. But this will kind of give you an idea over the next, say, 18 hours or so. All right, so here's where we are. We're about 2 o'clock right now. So yeah, it looks pretty right on target of what the actual radar is compared to the future radar. So we have activity starting to come to fruition down there into Jackson. That'll swing up towards Tupelo. There's another batch that's going to be originating down here into Nashville and eventually start heading up towards the Louisville, into the Indianapolis, as well as into Columbus region. That's around 2 o'clock. So if we put the storm track in motion, I thought I took that off. All right, so if we put the storm track in motion, we can see a lot of activity that's going to be highlighted across Louisville. This is about 4 o'clock. So some of these could be some pretty significant supercells with some larger hail associated with it, and rotation at the same time that's heading through Indianapolis, through Columbus, as well as all the way up into Tupelo here. So, and then there's another piece of energy that's going to swing across Charleston. So if we keep going in motion, you can see some of the darker purple start to come to fruition. That just tells you that the intensity of some of these storms starting to intensify on radar, and kind of amplifies the ante for potential larger hail and potentially more damaging winds, as well as tornadic activity. And if we move through, you can see it's really busy as we head towards the 4 or 5. This is around 6, 7 o'clock time frame. This is all through Cincinnati here, back through Columbus, through Dayton. That would swing another piece of energy towards Pittsburgh. This is all just south of the warm front. That warm front lifts all the way up towards almost into Tupelo region. That's why this area is all into play for all three modes of severe storms. Yeah, and so then as we get into the evening time frame, that's when the southern mode starts to take shape as well. So there could be a nasty squall line approaching the Birmingham, Alabama region through Huntsville all the way down into Montgomery. That's eventually going to swing over to Atlanta. And then there's a whole squall line of activity from essentially from Nashville to Louisville to Cincinnati. This is all going to be ahead of this cold front. So this is going to be along this cold front here. And then this will be racing across into the east, heading towards Pittsburgh by then, as by 9 o'clock. And if we move the needle all the way through 11 o'clock, if we zoom in towards the Atlanta region, you can see more activity coming out of Birmingham, back into Montgomery, back into the Columbus region, as well as into Atlanta. So it's definitely going to be a widespread event, essentially supercells from Montgomery all the way to Pittsburgh. And this actually gets into the overnight hours. So it's going to be a bumpy ride down there in Georgia into the overnight hours with that nasty cell coming out of Atlanta and then eventually swinging off into Athens and heading into the Augusta region. And at the same time, there's that cell that's through Charleston. You're probably done by then, by 1 o'clock in the morning in much of Ohio. But now it's going to be that threat's going to be shifting off towards more into the Pittsburgh region, as this low pressure center will be starting to wrap around, and most of all this falling on the eastern side of Wisconsin here is actually going to be in the form of snow. So believe it or not, as you wake up tomorrow morning in Chicago, it's probably going to be cold enough and some snow showers around by 6 o'clock. So this could be in the form of snow by the time this all said and done. It's probably a wet snow. It might be a dusting or two, or 1 to 2 inches. Not expecting much, but highs in Chicago tomorrow are only like about 34, 35 degrees. So it's definitely going to be feeling a lot more like winter out there. But that threat just shifts into the East Coast. So we have a renewed threat by tomorrow morning going into the Jacksonville region. That'll swing into Virginia Beach, back into Richmond, as well as into DC. Even Baltimore gets in the action. That would likely be past Pittsburgh by then, but now getting into Philadelphia region, as that squall line will continue to move across. And it only goes out 18 hours on that particular run, but it kind of gives you a depiction of what we might be looking for as we go through the next 12 to 24 hours. Yeah, so right now, if you're just kind of tuning in, we are going over future radar. This is kind of future radar of the HRRR model. Just kind of shows you the power of this low pressure center as it moves across this extremely fueled low level jet. We'll be picking up all this energy, a lot of moisture coming off the Gulf of Mexico, and then spreading inland, and then tapping into a more amplified setup, and then that cold front moves through. So once that cold front moves through, that's really going to be clearing the atmosphere out in a big way. But you can see what happens once we head up further into Chicago, into Milwaukee, heading through Michigan. This low pressure intensifies and it kind of wraps around. So this is going to be tapping into that colder air from coming in from the northwest, and all this is going to change over to kind of a wet snowflakes falling within eastern Wisconsin, as well as into portions of Chicago. And if we actually move the needle a little bit further and go into deeper into the day on Wednesday, I even expect this low pressure center will actually move through portions of Indiana and Ohio. So the same areas that could pick up some significant tornadoes today are some of the same areas that could include even some snow and 24 hours later. So that just shows you how dynamic this system is. But we've got no severe thunderstorm warnings right now. We actually have no tornado warnings. We do have a couple of alerts, which is mainly a flash flood warning for areas just outside of the Pittsburgh region. We had a lot of activity this morning, and now we're kind of in between systems, if you will. We're kind of refueling. Remember, when you have a system come through, it kind of works over the atmosphere. So right now, the atmosphere is kind of regenerating, if you will. Probably the peaks of sun is out in some of these areas, and daytime heating occurs. It's 1:45 on Central Time, and as you heat up the upper levels of the atmosphere again, and then you got that powerful jet coming in, you're going to have more lift. And so once again, it's a renewed process. Once those turn severe, they're going to be able to continue rise up higher and higher in those cloud tops with those more significant updrafts. And it's just going to be a matter of time before those will turn severe. And then once they get high enough, they can become surface based. And that's when we start to include some rotation and possibly tornadoes. And hopefully this doesn't turn into some long track tornadoes like some of the guidance is actually hinting at at the moment. But yeah, that's kind of future radar. This is your current radar right now. We'll just kind of keep this on a loop for people that are just now kind of coming in. We can just shorter time than that. All right, let's answer some of your questions. Hey, Doug, how's it going, buddy? Beautiful day in Phoenix. Praying for those families in Nashville and Pittsburgh. Yeah, you're probably experiencing some really nice weather. See, you're on the backside of that front. It went through California, it went through your area, and now it actually went through Dallas. It's actually kind of chilly outside. It's only about 55 degrees right now in Dallas. But you can see where that cold front is, right? It's past the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's past almost into Little Rock. So that's where basically the rain is, right? It's right along that secondary boundary. And that's where the beginning stages of renewed activity is starting to form right now. And as you can see, at times we got some darker shaded color starting to fill in. So, the atmosphere is, showing that green. That's basically some light to moderate rains at times. And then some of those yellow shaded areas, that is insinuating some little bit heavier rainfall. Obviously, once you get towards the Camden region, that's when you're talking about definitely some heavier rains coming out of that. So it's showing signs of getting stronger as it continues to shift and move northeast and going into more of a favorable environment. Yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all have out there. Right now, we got nothing terribly too pressing. We got a mesoscale discussion. There's a pretty good squall line that's starting to form, heading towards the Evansville region. That's likely got some 50-mile-per-hour winds with it. Yeah, some 50. Wow, look how fast it is moving, folks. Can y'all see that? Look at that. 75 miles an hour. That's that's crazy fast, folks. Yeah, so you got 75 miles an hour. Yeah, it's very rare to see something like that moving that quickly, but that's kind of the beast that we're working with right now. That's the atmosphere that we are actually working with right now. And so that basically tells you that you're not going to have much warnings with these systems. And yeah, truckers, be safe. Yeah, this is one of those situations. It's a nightmare for truckers because some of these wind gusts are going to be literally 70, 80, if not almost sometimes 90 miles an hour. And there was a wind gust yesterday in Texas. It was 88 miles an hour, and these could even be more significant. So you got the combination of these crosswinds, and you got the combination of such a widespread system with some larger hail at times. The biggest hail yesterday in Texas was actually 4.5 inches, folks. They had some larger hailstones, even in Oklahoma, numerous reports of tennis balls, some baseball size hail. I mean, this is the activity that we're working with today. Not only are you going to have some larger hail, but also more significant damaging winds. And then some of those activity could spawn up some tornadoes. So it's definitely one of these things that once this thing gets these get active, and if you live in those more favored areas in Louisville and Indianapolis and Cincinnati and Columbus region, it's probably one of those things. If you are home, it's probably just better to stay home and just kind of ride out the storm and wait for it to pass, because there's definitely some better days ahead once that cold front moves through your area. So it's going to be a bumpy ride in between now and then. But you'll see a lot of activity, right? Not severe, but it is moving through Cincinnati at the moment. Pretty good line of thunderstorms heading through Cincinnati, as well as into coming out of Springfield, heading towards the Columbus region. You see the boundary. I left the surface front in because that's the warm front. That's kind of like your demarcation line of where most of the activity kind of overturned in the atmosphere along that boundary. Hey, don't forget the like button. Yeah, definitely imperative to hit the like button on this live feed, as well as subscribe to my channel. And I do have a secondary channel as well. That's Pal Ponder Ultra. So you can actually subscribe to that channel as well. So greatly appreciate all the support out there. Yeah, it's one of those back-to-back days, folks. I did an update this morning. I did an update yesterday. I went live for about 6.5 hours yesterday. So it is one of those times that it's pretty pretty busy in the weather department. So we're once this moves through today, yeah, we are going to have some severe storms likely tomorrow morning, borderline afternoon across the East Coast, but it definitely starts to wind down. It actually turns into more of a significant, actually kind of winter storm. As this moves through Wednesday night, I showed you the wraparound moisture that comes through Wisconsin and Milwaukee, down here towards Michigan. But there's also pretty significant snows as this low pressure center starts to kind of wind up. They leave some pretty good snows across upstate New York and to Vermont and New Hampshire and just Maine. Just kind of, I think, gets clocked with heavier snows. Some of these areas in Maine could pick up 12, 18, maybe even some 24-inch totals by the time they head into likely Saturday morning. Yeah, April is one of those active times. If you recall, it was actually this time last year that a complex of storms, multi-day outbreak, went through around the first and second time frame and spawned 115 tornadoes across East Texas through some of these same areas, eastern Oklahoma, Kansas, through Missouri. That was about a year ago to this date. Actually, that was a widespread, significant severe weather threat event. Yeah, last night we did spawn a couple of tornadoes, but mainly we came out with more significant hail reports out of that system. So if I look at some of the storm reports from, of course, the National Weather Service is doing a lot of preliminary damage, their surveys from last night. But let's see right now. All right, so based on the storm reports, there were 4 reports of tornadoes last night. That was mainly in the Oklahoma region and back into Missouri. But there was definitely a lot of significant wind reports, but mainly significant hail reports. So we had 143 hail reports, but 23 of those were of that very large hail. That's like 2-inch hail or better. So 23 reports of some 2-inch hail or greater. And the biggest one I found was, in fact, 4.5 inches down there into Springtown, Texas. And then Justin also had about a 3.4-inch hailstone as well. Hey, Ross. Hey, it's pouring. Yeah, it's pouring in New York. Yeah, so here's that band. All right, so yeah, up here into portions of New York, they're getting some feeder bands coming from the northwest flow here. Yeah, pretty good shower activity heading your way. Yeah, it's just been one of those things across the Northeast. I mean, they've been I don't need to tell you. It obviously it was a warmer winter, but it was definitely a wet winter. That a lot of those areas ended in the top 10 wettest on record, and a lot of these areas, even to start spring, are already in the top 10 as well. Some areas have picked up over 10 inches just in the month of March alone. And yes, there's another system coming through. Do I expect it today or tomorrow, Matt? In Virginia, it's going to be definitely more likely tomorrow before the system moves through your area. Yeah, it's going to be the activity that's coming through Evansville right now. That's going to continue moving eastbound, and then that's going to likely impact Virginia into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon time frame. It was one of the wettest marches on record, Ross. Yeah, I believe it. It's been crazy how much rainfall y'all have. I mean, Rhode Island, Connecticut. I think at one point Hartford. Gosh, I saw a total last year. It was really the entire year of 2024, 2023 last year. Gosh, I think it was like 70 inches. It was way up there. It was well Hartford, Connecticut. It was well above average. Let me switch radars here. All right, so we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for this new development that's coming out of Alexandria. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This one's borderline severe, has some 60-mile-per-hour winds, some quarter-size hail associated with it. That's coming out heading towards the Natchez region by 2:15. Yeah, these were more of a mesoscale discussion earlier, where it's basically one step lower than a severe thunderstorm warning, which is essentially 50-mile-per-hour winds and some nickel size hail. But now they're kind of turning borderline severe. You can see the lightning tracks on these. That just kind of shows you these storms are trying to intensify. And this cell right here has a little bit darker reds associated with it. That's why it's seeing some amplified levels and seeing some of those borderline low severe levels that's entering this picture. Yeah, so it's 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We are watching live storm coverage. Like I mentioned, if you're just kind of tuning in, we had a lot of activity this morning. We did have a lot of activity. It's been a very busy morning, actually. Even when I did my video, it was very early this morning. But now the atmosphere is kind of, like I mentioned, it's just kind of resetting. So even though it doesn't look as busy, which it's not right now, the atmosphere is regenerating. So the morning activity did kind of work over the atmosphere a little bit, but definitely there's numerous signs that show that, hey, it's everything's going to start firing up towards the 3, 4, 5 o'clock time frame. I can, but it's because of their only bedroom window doesn't close, that the cold air is coming through. Yeah, Ross, it's nonstop. Well, hopefully, I mean, I think after that moves through, there is showing signs. There's going to be a ridge in place that's going to be building across the Northeast. So I do feel after this spell moves through, as we head towards Friday into Saturday, that low pressure moves out. We are going to be seeing a ridge really start to build across that region. So you're definitely going to be turning on, above average side, but also much drier air is going to sink in into that region. And so for much of the following week, you should definitely be on the drier side. Well, much of the main focus is going to be turning towards the middle of the country, where it does look to turn active again once we head to really Saturday. There's actually another system that's coming through California by Friday, coming in the West Coast, and there's another even day 5 risk for a slight risk for severe storms into this area right here across. This would be Saturday. There's another pocket of energy that's coming in from the northwest, and that's gonna overturn the atmosphere again. So we should see more rounds of storms coming across this region that would likely move through Dallas. And then there's signs of a front kind of stalling, kind of the same concept of this with this one right here. And there's going to be some overriding setups for Monday and Tuesday. Unfortunately, that would go to the solar eclipse time, but it likely turns pretty unsettled across the southern plains, actually the central plains, and much and further north too. It's really the center part of the country looks to turn unsettled as we head towards Saturday, heading into Sunday, but especially Monday and Tuesday next week. Is it going to be cloudy for most of the years in totality, Stormy? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, with that system, I think coming in, if the solar eclipse was maybe like on a Thursday, back behind this front, I think Thursday is going to be probably one of your better days out there, because it's pretty going to be pretty clear once this front moves through your area and kind of cleanses out the atmosphere. There's leftover clouds on the backside, but once Wednesday moves through, and it's definitely by Thursday, just overall, April is a cloudy month. It's kind of a bad time to have a solar eclipse. You're just not gonna. It's one of those times. It's very active for severe storms, but you also have southwest flow. Southwest flow brings in usually a high level cloud deck, and then eventually low level cloud deck as you get more instability. So there's just a lot of areas but I would say the favorite time with that ridge building in for the solar eclipse would actually, ironically, would be upstate New York, and likely Vermont, New Hampshire, and especially Maine. I think once this moves through and you get the high pressure moving in the backside, I think these areas definitely kind of clear out for, I think, the best viewing. It's going to be hit and miss cloud deck from Texas through Oklahoma, through Arkansas, through Missouri, through Illinois, through Ohio. I think you're going to have a definitely harder time to get like clear skies. I mean, I think the odds of even say in Dallas just have clear skies in the month of April around that time are only 13%. So it would take a perfect day, because there's just a lot of cloudy days in April. It's unlike the August one. I think the last one was in August, but I think the one that's coming up, which of course is a long ways away, 2045, it's a long ways away, but that one is actually in August the 12th. So the middle of the summer, you're probably likely, with ridging in place, to have a lot more clear skies by then. Hey, I'm currently trucking down on I-55, and we'll be heading through Memphis, Tennessee soon. I can drive about 240 miles more today. Will East Missouri be safe tonight? 240 miles. You're probably got another 5 hours left on the road. So yeah, you're asking about eastern portions of Missouri. All right. So right now it is coming through Evansville. So it's gonna be close. Definitely going to be close. It's just one of those active times. Yeah, right now, more instability is going to be building into Evansville right now. Okay. Oh, so you said Missouri. So yeah, St. Louis with that front. Yeah, by the time you head through here, so yeah, with another 4 or 5 hours, that would likely put it in Louisville. And so yeah, eastern portions of Missouri, there's actually no activity right now. So yeah, you should be good to go. Hey, there's going to be snow on the ground during an eclipse. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely up there in Maine for sure. That would be cool. Yeah, I know. A lot of people. I mean, it's just one of those. It's just one of those events. I mean, obviously, you don't know what the weather is a year ahead of time. These people got to make plans. I think there were like 1.2 million people expected. More visitors coming to Texas. So there's areas that it goes right over. I think down there in all the way down around the border. I think at one point it's 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Even in my backyard, I'm expected to see like 3 minutes and 9 seconds of it, something like that. So it's not going to really hinder me if I'm just going to go in the backyard. If I get to see it, great. If I don't, then hey, it's one of those things. Yeah, there was a partial one about 4 or 5 months ago. That was pretty cool. That was a partial eclipse. It still got 80%, so it wasn't like 100% totality, but it was still 80%, and that was definitely cool to see. Yeah, so right now we're just continuing to watch this activity. Nothing terribly too pressing at the moment. Just we just have some just kind of one little cell, one borderline severe thunderstorm down there into Louisiana. Other than that, just a couple mesoscale discussions at the moment, and just waiting to see if this activity starts to fire up. Yeah, I think New York City is going to have 90% totality. Yeah, you're pretty close. I would say. I think Niagara Falls is the best viewing. The closer to there, but yeah, the totality point comes. I think it's like 40 miles from my house exactly. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Hey, you're welcome. Pal is so tiny today, you can barely see him. Really? Is that? Did I tried to rearrange my camera. Let me scoot up a little bit. My slouching. There. I'm probably bigger now. I just had to point my camera down. Yeah, I think that scroll bar takes off a little bit, so it cuts that part out a little bit. So on the 8th, the day will be the night. Yeah, that's probably the coolest part about it, where you can see that darkness right there in the middle of the day. Hey, Mark. Hey, appreciate your support. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks. Glad you found me. Pretty active on this channel. I do daily updates almost pretty much on a daily basis. We're going to start doing more live stream coverage as well. So I'm going to be after we get a lull in the atmosphere. I'm going to be working on improving some of my ways I present the weather in my live streams. We're going to be adding a bunch of stuff. So yeah, stay tuned to that. I do have another mic I'm going to be using as well. So I'm going to change that out. Yeah, so I got some stuff in the works. I was a few seconds behind. Any updates on why Charlotte, North Carolina has not had much severe weather the last couple of years? Also, we didn't get much snow the last 2 years. Yeah, the East Coast is just, yeah, it's just one of those things. The East Coast. I mean, these fronts were mainly west, trended east, and by the time it made your area, it just kind of all fizzled out on the snow front. And kind of the same deal in the instability for severe storms. Yeah, the southeast was has been pretty active, but you get these systems that come through the plains, that come through the Ohio Valley, and then once they make it to your area, they just lose a lot of energy. Now, tomorrow's going to be again borderline, marginal to severe. Time of day's got a lot to do with it too, because most of your activity is going to be likely in the morning time. Hey, what happened to your lightning shirts, pal? I can still have them. They're in the closet. Could probably bring them back out of retirement. I do have some like radar infused slippers too, but they go on my feet. You're not gonna be able to see that. But yeah, I've got two of those lightning shirts. Those actually would be pretty cool to wear on the live stream. Hope the wind goes away. I'm supposed to be getting a package and I don't want it to blow away. That's true. Yeah, April is actually the windiest month. It's probably different some areas, but yeah, April is one of those things that uh, April is one of those busier months. Hey, Rodberry. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. You're gifting me 50 different weather memberships. You're so awesome. Definitely appreciate all the support out there. Welcome to the live stream. We're doing extended coverage on severe storms right now. We don't have any active tornado warnings, or actually one just severe thunderstorm warning. So nothing too like pressing to be alarmed at the moment, but it doesn't in fact appear to have um, activity heading into the evening time frame. Yeah, very generous of you, Rodberry. Very generous of you. Definitely appreciate the support out there. You are awesome. Woot, everybody's a member. There you go. Hey, what's in store for southern part of Massachusetts, New Hampshire? Well, you're going to be getting some snow with this setup. So you're going to start off as rain eventually on the front end, but as the low pressure center will wrap around on Wednesday, especially into Thursday, it's going to be likely all snow up in your area. And it could pile up pretty significantly as you head into Friday. Yeah, let's just look at some model runs here, and let's show you what we're talking about. Yeah, here's the new. Just mainly. All right, just kind of shows you what's going to happen with this system as it moves through over the next couple of days. So this is over a 10-day time span. Just kind of gives you a depiction of what's happening. So we've got this squall line moving through, right? So this is your latest, This is your latest European guidance moving through. Very active low pressure. This is where the severest threat is going to be for today, and this all swings to the East Coast tomorrow. And then you have a pretty significant low pressure center that will be swinging up the East Coast by the time we head into April 4th around 7 o'clock in the morning. And then that low pressure center will wrap around, on the backside, and that will continue to lift out. And then you have clear skies, but then, like I mentioned, there was another boundary coming in off the West Coast. So another fairly significant system that's going to come across the middle of the country. So the middle of the country does, in fact, get active. This would be on Sunday. Yeah, so everybody take advantage of the gifted memberships. Definitely appreciate Rod Berry for doing that. Yeah, so this is your activity that's going to come through. And then that front, like I mentioned, that front actually stalls. So this is around the 9th and 10th down there into the southern plains towards Texas and Oklahoma. It could actually stall for an extended period of time and then turn really active going into the 9th and 10th time frame. So that's why I think we've got high pressure that's going to be building in off the East Coast here, but turn really unsettled across the middle of the country through Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas and back through Missouri, and just kind of sits and spins for a couple of days. This is around the 11th. So this whole area continues to remain active for about 4 to possibly 5 days in a row before it finally actually moves out, maybe towards around the 11th. Yeah, let's go back to the 8RRR guidance, because this is the 18Z run. This is the main run I actually wanted to look at earlier, but it hadn't updated yet. So this one uploads every 6 hours and kind of gives you a full run. All right, so what we're looking at is we're looking at future radar. So right now, this is potentially about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have those cells that are highlighted over Louisiana by then that would come across Jackson through the Huntsville, heading towards Birmingham region. Going to be really unsettled across Nashville into Clarksville, up here to Louisville, as well as back into Cincinnati. And another batch of thunderstorms will be swinging across to Columbus by then. And then as we put the radar in motion, then we just have that nasty kind of squall line originating of some of those deeper purples here. That would be insinuating some more significant wind gusts, some hail, and these possibly kind of maybe spin up tornadoes or two that's coming out of the Cincinnati region, heading through Columbus and back towards Canton. And with this low pressure center winding up, this would likely be in the form of snow on the backside coming through Wisconsin and eventually swinging down into Chicago. So this is 11 o'clock this evening. 11 o'clock this evening, it starts to get really bumpy. Another elevated tornado parameters get activated again further south ahead of the cold front. So it likely gets pretty bumpy in towards the Montgomery region, into Birmingham, back into Atlanta, towards Chattanooga, up here towards Knoxville. And then it's likely going to be done in Cincinnati and much of Ohio by then. And it's going to be pushing into Charleston and eventually swing into the Pittsburgh region by 11 o'clock. That would be 11 o'clock tonight. And then it becomes basically an overnight threat going into the Atlanta region and just eventually heading towards eastern side of Tennessee. And so as you wake up pretty early, 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning, most of the activity is clear. The Atlanta region, now it's going to be highlighted over Charlotte, Roanoke, heading towards Virginia, back into Richmond. And this is where I think this is when North Carolina will start to get impacted from this system. But this is a morning setup for them. And again, it only went through 18 hours. So it's still loading. But yeah, it just kind of gives you an idea of what may unfold over the next 12 hours or so. Let's go back to radar because it looks like we have more severe thunderstorm warnings. Likely the same cell. So yeah, brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This popped up 75 miles an hour. 75 miles an hour. These storms are really booking. This is actually down there towards Louisiana. Yeah, these storms are moving incredibly fast, folks. Hey, will Southern Alabama and Florida Panhandle get upgraded to an enhanced risk? For tomorrow, I think a lot of activity is going to be in the morning time. So I just don't see that upgraded down there in Florida to an enhanced risk. But that is going to be a fairly decent squall line that will be coming through probably Tampa, Orlando, Daytona Beach, through Jacksonville, through Gainesville. That's where the squall line is going to be moving through. Wow, that's a fast moving system. Yeah, 75 miles an hour. It's almost sometimes they're running too fast and they can't slow down to build up the severeness essentially. So sometimes they kind of outrun themselves. Maybe that might be what's happening here because these storms are just moving so fast. Hey, I can hear the wind roaring out there, and it's only going to get worse. Yeah, it was definitely windy last night when those storms moved through my area. I know all the lawn chairs out there was all thrown across the backyard. Yeah, a couple mesoscale discussions on this these storms that were coming out of Evansville. Again, these aren't moving as fast because they're not as close to the low level jet. They're moving east at 45 miles an hour, but nonetheless, these are again one step lower than severe limits. Has some 50-mile-per-hour winds and some half-inch hail with these cells. They a lot of the Hey Nikki, they let a lot of the North Mississippi schools out. Oh, they let them out early. Hey, it's always better to be safe than sorry. It's always better that you never want to be out in the elements if there's definitely a strong tornado heading your way. It's always better to get the kids home safe. Hey pal, we are trying to hold things down here in Georgia. Thanks for all you do. Hey, you're welcome, Audrey. Thanks for the support. I just got the notification that someone gifted me a membership. Thank you. Yeah, that was Rodberry. He was very generous. He gifted 50 subscriptions, memberships. Very, very generous. Yeah, flood watches out in southeastern Ohio. Yeah, that's another element to the storm as with this front stalling, we saw some flash flood warnings last night in the St. Louis region. You can actually see one heading into Pittsburgh right there. So there's a couple flood warnings right now that had activity in the morning that's still the residual effect. So that's one of those elements too, that the heavy rain aspect of the storm as well. Yeah, it's a two. Yeah, 222, 222, 226. Yeah, we still got that one severe thunderstorm warning out there. Yeah, so the SPC will probably update in about 20 minutes or so. They usually update around 3 o'clock. Yeah, I mean you're Eastern time, Terry. Sorry, I'm Central. Hey, it sounds a lot worse than it is. Yeah, at least right now. I mean, it's not terribly too active out there. There was actually going to be like 3 waves with this system. We had the first wave when I woke up early this morning. It was coming across, and then that second piece of energy that went through a couple of hours ago, and now just we're waiting on that third piece of energy to take shape. Yeah, most of you, since I'm doing coverage in the East, are probably Eastern time. Hello, pal. Calm here in Pittsburgh right now. Yeah, we're looking at future radar. You're definitely going to be having some instability rate hit your area. It's a little bit of ways away, but you got you got this pocket of energy that's just to the west of you, coming out of Columbus right now, out of Charleston and Parkersburg, that will be heading towards Pittsburgh in the coming hours. Yeah, so make sure you hit the like button on this, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. You can tune into all my daily broadcasts where I forecast pretty much on a daily basis. Just kind of give you a breakdown of what's happening with the weather, so you can keep well ahead of the storm. And then a lot of times we do live coverage like this, and during some high end days. Yeah, a lot of times with some of these storms, you never really kind of know what's the best time to go live. I was thinking about 3 o'clock. I mean, um, so yeah, when you come on board and there's not much activity. So yeah, so that severe thunderstorm warning did come down. So now we're not looking at any severe weather out there. It's just a couple mesoscale discussions. Hey Audrey, thanks so much for your support. Appreciate the 4.99 super sticker. Greatly appreciate it. You are awesome. Hey, good thing you said last night that Tennessee was going to get hit. So I stopped yesterday before I left Georgia. You rock. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you're definitely welcome out there. Yeah, I'm happy to do these live streams for you, especially when you have one of these higher impact days like this. Uh, it's never a good thing when the Storm Prediction Center is actually calling for strong tornadoes, and they start using the word violent in their discussions, and long track tornadoes. They don't use those wordings lightly. I mean, they got the cream of the crop, the best of the best in that field, and a lot of times it's when they get to that level, they just don't write that to write it. It's got to be there. I mean, the parameters have to show like, yes, this is a high certainty. This is likely could happen before they go ahead and issue something like that, because um, obviously they don't want to cause any undue stress that's not needed. So, and if it doesn't come together, then hey, it's not always the worst thing in the world, right? But you got to take it to what the instability and the parameters and the models show you at the time, and to warn people. One thing that's what's happening with these storms. They're just, I mean, they are just moving so fast. 75 miles an hour is incredibly fast for something like this. So sometimes it can just kind of outrun itself. So all right, so what do we got? Okay, so here we go. We got our first tornado warning. So we got we do have, in fact, a brand new tornado warning out of Evansville. So this is a brand new tornado warning that just got issued for out of the Paducah, Kentucky National Weather Service. So this is going to be uh, northwestern Wadrick County and southwestern Indiana. So this is going to include, there was a severe thunderstorm that was capable of tornado back into the Kaysen region. That was near Evansville. So that's the system that's moving north at 50 miles an hour. So these were storms this is an area that's in the path of this activity. Chandler at 240, Boonville at 245. So Chandler 240, Boonville 245. If you are on the road, if you're a truck driver, if you're listening to me right now, you're going to be at mile marker on Interstate 69, mile marker 1 through 18. And Interstate 64 is going to be mile marker between 33 and 38. So we do have a radar depicted tornado that was evident that's coming out of the Evansville region. Right now it's located not right near Evansville. So let's look at the let's go to the switch radars here. All right, so this is probably the best radar to use. So if we look at the reflectivity here, you can actually see why they warranted this little inflow notch, right? So this little inflow notch right here is where your circulation has come together. So that's the concern. That is the reason why they issued that tornado warning right there into the Evansville region. So if we look at some of the velocity index parameters, you can kind of see what we're looking at. You get a lightning strike out towards Red Bank. So you got some of these, this area. All right, so let's put the radar in motion here. Yeah, it looks to me, it's this area right here that's just out of Evansville. This is likely going to be your circulation right here off 69 and County Road 41. Looks like more broad rotation to me. This is why they issued the tornado warning right now. So what you're looking at here is you got the greens are kind of going towards the radar. You have the reds that are going away from the radar. And whenever they're typically kind of close together right here, these colors are mixing with this red and this orange. That's typically where you would likely have some rotation on the southern flank of that little notch that I showed you on the reflectivity map. So it's the southern flank here is the one that's likely showing the rotation down here in this vicinity. This is moving off to the east at 50 miles an hour. So you watch this come together. Yeah, real quick, right? So you can see it frame by frame. This squall line was kind of congealed together, and then once it hit Evansville, it split, and that split on the south side is rotating because there's nothing coming in from the south side. You can see it here. You got the winds, outflow winds coming in. They're trying to bow out, so that would likely impact show some more significant winds coming out of this storm. Yeah, so brand new tornado warning coming out of the Evansville region. This is continued moving eastbound. This is radar depicted. This is not a confirmed tornado at the moment. It's just showing some broad rotation on radar, but nonetheless, this is the first tornado warning that we've had on this live stream. I'm gonna look at my other radar too. All right, so we got all right, so you're watching live coverage of this squall line that is getting a lot more active here. This is the system we've been watching for the past hour. That came out of the Harrisburg region. Now it's highlighted over Evansville, and this is the system that is showing some rotation on the southern flank of this supercell, this mesoscale convective system that's racing across. Kind of still showing that broad rotation there. This is the circulation that continues to warrant the tornado warning right along Interstate 69 here. You can see it was a little bit more evident on that last scan, right? Not as pronounced as it was about a minute ago. All right, so we're watching this storm complex. This is a storm that's moving out of uh, in the city of Evansville. This is in Evansville. This is all heading towards Chandler, heading towards Chandler at 2:40 Central Daylight Time. So right on your doorstep in Chandler, and eventually this will head towards the Boonville region. Boonville is right here. This is moving at 50 miles an hour. So Chandler, Rolling Acres, Boonesville, you need to be in your safe zone. This is a radar indicated tornado. Nothing confirmed at the moment, but we are showing some broad rotation on the south side of this squall line that's moving across Evansville. You definitely see it's trying to get more pronounced now. You can definitely see it's taking more of a hook shape on that southern flank. Yeah, so areas in the path: Evansville, Newburgh, Melanie Hill, and Kaysen. And I'm watching it on my other radar too. So we'll continue to watch this system. All right, we'll show you the split screens. Here's the reflectivity map. And then we also have the velocity map, so you can kind of see what we're talking about here. Here's the concern right here of this supercell has that little notch, and it's the southern flank of that storm is the main concern right now of this possibly spinning up a tornado as this is heading towards the Boonville region in the next 4 minutes. Yeah, so brand new tornado warning unfolding right now out of the Evansville region, goes on for another 15 minutes or so. This storm does appear that it's trying to intensify as we speak. So we will stay on this particular supercell because this may drop a tornado out of this at any moment now. Do we get do we have confirmation? Oh wow, look at that last scan. It just lost it. Yeah, look at that last scan. It just lost the notch. Yeah, now it's more of a squall line. Just when it looked like it was starting to get wound up there. Yeah, there for a moment it looked a little bit of an it looked a little intense, but right now it's definitely yeah, definitely getting choked off on the south side now. So it's more of a squall line coming through, and it's not showing that circulation anymore. Yeah, I was thinking we had a tornado there for a second. It does have some hail with it too. This is likely some 1.5 inch hail coming out of that system as well. This is all heading towards the Boonville region. You can see the hail core. Yeah, you can see it bowing out there. All right, so we'll stay on this storm. It's the only severe thunderstorm. It's the warning. It's the only warning we have right now. Yeah, here's the broader picture. What we're looking at. It's on the very southern tip of Indiana. Yeah, this is definitely going into a more favorable environment down there. It does have some 65-mile-per-hour winds with it. And that actually that hell core has dropped to below severe limits. Yeah, I don't really see this extending once this expires, and they might just cancel it because I don't really see much rotation at all anymore out of that system. But we'll still stay on this storm since it is in fact still warned. Hey, Stormy's not playing games. She's taking care of business. Hey, thanks for the channel and weather tracking. Hey, you're welcome. Hey, it's great to interact with the followers out there. You know, I love this weather stuff. I can probably talk about it all day long. Uh, Sometimes when you do the videos, you tend to kind of like talk to yourself, right? You can't really interact with anybody. So these are always more engagement with my followers out there, which I love. Yeah, I got pretty intense there for a second. I thought it was gonna go, but the good thing is it just kind of, I think again, these storms are moving so fast. As fast as that circulation popped up, it went down. See, it really flattened out. You can't really see that inflow notch anymore. As soon as it hit Evansville, that supercell just kind of split. And then once it hit 69 there, it really really had circulation come in for the south and really closed off that notch pretty quickly. Hey, tornado watch for Montgomery, Alabama, and Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, so let's go back to the newest watches. Let me put the alerts back on for that. Since things are now starting to get more active. So you can see a widespread area. They are starting to issue those watches out there. All right, so brand new tornado watch. This will go on till 6 o'clock. So straight from the Storm Prediction Center, they are in fact looking at some few tornadoes are likely, with a couple intense tornadoes, some scattered large hail and isolated very large hail, some of them 2 inches in diameter. Scattered damaging winds likely, or an isolated significant gust to 75 miles an hour is possible. So essentially, you got scattered supercells developing is expected along a wind shift from extreme southeastern Missouri into southeastern Illinois early this afternoon. Any additional storms or form will move into a western Kentucky and southwestern Indiana through the afternoon. The environment favors fast moving supercells capable of producing tornadoes, a couple of strong tornadoes, large hail, 1 to 2 inches in diameter, and damaging winds of 60 to 75 miles an hour. The tornado watch is approximately along in 60 miles southeast. Yeah, so that's that particular tornado watch, and even further south towards Nashville. I mean, essentially the kind of the same risk. This goes until 3 o'clock, so this will likely get extended. So this is the new one that's just likely got issued towards. That would include Lexington. So this is eastern Kentucky. Kind of the same deal. 75-mile-per-hour winds possible. Some isolated 2-inch hailstones. That watch goes until 8 o'clock tonight. Yeah, these are all tornado watches. There's not any actually severe thunderstorm watches. So that just kind of goes to show you the environment is more ripe for tornadoes. Thanks, Stormy. You could be upgraded to Cyclone. Stormy's taking care of business, huh? Seeing a lot of scuds yesterday can tell us yeah. Yeah, so sometimes in these situations, you have what they call land spouts. You've got some microbursts that could unfold. You have some downburst winds that when the supercells kind of collapse, you get these outflow downburst winds. All right, so it looks like this activity lifting northeast is getting a little bit more favorable environment towards Bloomington. So we'll look at this. We'll look at this cell. And again, folks, I mean, look, I mean, this is just crazy to see something like this. I mean, this storm move is northeast at 85 miles an hour. You see that? 85 miles an hour. That's just crazy. You don't really see that often. That just definitely just goes to show you how powerful this low level jet is. Yeah, just screaming. Yeah, just screaming across. So you're not going to really have much warnings. I mean, even that storm down in Evansville that could have spun up a little tornado within for a minute, and just you just couldn't have any confirmation on radar or ground truth because these things were moving so fast. So and it to me it looked like they might have had something there for about a minute or two. And sometimes with sometimes with these storms, a minute or two, that's all it takes. And a minute or two can at times be undetected by radar and by a spotter on the ground, but only found out later when they do the storm reports that they find might find some damage that would qualify for a quick spin up tornado. Yeah, so I was right. They went ahead and let that expire in Evansville. They did, in fact, let that cell expire in Evansville early because it didn't warrant anymore. It didn't have that circulation going. So we are watching live storm coverage. This is a pretty wide swath of a tornado watch. This is where most of the activity is right now, from Jackson to Murfreesboro to Nashville, Clarksville, Hopkinsville, Evansville, Louisville, lots of bills. But this is the cell right here. It's starting to get a little bit more favorable environment into the Bloomington region. I would imagine they would probably move this tornado watch further north pretty shortly. Yeah, this seems to be the most active storm right now. That cell that's coming out of the Bloomington. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it's probably a little delay on this, but nonetheless, they did. In fact, this is now the Dayton, Ohio tornado watch is now extended. So now we have a more widespread area of a tornado watch. Now it includes southeastern Indiana. It includes central Kentucky as well as southwestern Ohio. This does go on until 10 o'clock. So this is all ahead of this main instability out to your west. Yeah, same impacts. Few tornadoes possible. A couple intense tornadoes. Some significant wind gusts of 75 miles an hour potential. Some isolated very large hail of 2 inches in diameter. Yeah, I can put this one on and kind of see what the radar is depicting as well. Along with the storm reports. I always want to know that. So let's move it to, I don't know, the last 3 hours. All right, so what we're looking at here, this is a product, shows you some hail sizes from that supercell over the last 3 hours. The radar depicted some 1 inch hail with some of these storms coming out of Washington and to Bloomington. At times, we did have 1.25 inches. We had a confirmed 1.5-inch hailstone just north of Jasper. We had a confirmed 60-mile-per-hour wind gust out of Evansville. That was a system that we're on that tornado warning for a time being. So that storm did verify with some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts out of that system. A train spotter was on that system. So right now we do have a confirmed wind gust that did reach severe limits. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button. Greatly appreciate welcome all the followers out there. All right, so brand new severe thunderstorm warning. They just issued brand new severe thunderstorm warning north of the Bedford region. This is coming out of the Indianapolis National Weather Service. Another supercell that was 13 miles southeast of Bloomfield. 13, coming out of the Bloomfield region. This is another cell that has some 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-size hail with it. Yeah, so some of these severe thunderstorm warnings are starting to light up. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 severe thunderstorm warnings. All lined up in a row. Yeah, so things are slowly starting to get more active out of that one supercell that came out of Evansville that we did have a tornado warning for a time being. Now this is shifting, continue to move further east. This is all heading into a little bit more favorable environment. This is the beginning stages of that newly issued tornado watch that goes all the way into 10 o'clock tonight. So this goes on to another 7 hours or so with these watches in place. Hey, thanks for the power. Please hit the like button if you can. Thanks, Stormy. I appreciate all your help out there. Thanks for everything you do for the channel. So we're just watching this main instability that's coming out of Evansville, heading towards Jasper and into the Bloomington region. I would imagine not see why this doesn't have a watch on it. You see where the warm front is that's continuing to lift further north. Hey, pal, just got some flash flood warnings in Monroe County. Yeah, here's your warning that you're talking about. Yeah, so it looks like, so the morning rainfall left 2 to 3 inches in your area, caused some numerous creeks and streams throughout the eastern Ohio and northern West Virginia to flood. Multiple additional rounds of storms are expected in the late afternoon, could possibly go for another 1 inch or so. Yeah, so that goes for another 345 minutes. So that would be another, 5, 6 hours or so. Yeah, so that was that morning activity. And that by the time that reaches your area, it's going to be probably towards 8 or 9 o'clock. Hey, we have some big dark clouds moving in from Wheeler State Line in Pennsylvania, here in Western PA. Yeah, so let me switch radars. This is what you're looking at, Ragtile. You have this instability. That warm front's actually trying to sneak into Pennsylvania right now. Yeah, that activity is pushing off to your east. So this is why they warranted with that additional rain moving in. This is eventually going to be heading into Pittsburgh here over probably the next hour or so. Hey, thanks so much, Snowies. Appreciate you everything you do for the channel. Greatly appreciate all your support coming on the live stream and helping out almost on a daily basis with the channel. Greatly appreciate it. You see, it's pretty lit up now. We got several severe thunderstorm warnings all along this boundary, this squall line that will just continue to race across the east at flying 70, 80 miles an hour at times. I'm minutes from the state line up the hills. Can you see towards Wheeler? Yeah, Wheeler, West Virginia. Yeah, this is the squall line. Looks like just mainly rain with that particular setup. Over 3 feet of sunshine in Phoenix today. Yeah. Yeah, we're all a little jealous. I mean, it's even cloudy here. Mm. Thanks so much for tuning in to the live stream here, folks. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button. Looks like we got about 435 likes so far. Yeah, the more people that like the live stream, the more it tells YouTube that, hey, you value my content and gets this vital information out to others, and they'll actually share it and recommend it on the feed, so more people can actually see it. We had some cells further south as well. This left some hail in its wake. This was coming out of the Alexandria region in Louisiana. We've got several reports of some quarters to almost golf ball size hail here. We also had another cell that actually went through towards Meridian area that left about an inch and a half inch hail down there in that region. We got some stronger cells trying to develop heading towards the Tupelo region. These are all continue to move off into the northeast. Yeah, nothing severe for those at the moment. And then we also had a band that went through the Charleston region as well. Now this one has a little discussion on it with some 50-mile-per-hour winds, some just pea-sized hail. This one's not severe, and that one's continued to push across to the east. Yeah, it looks like these are some. I'm just going over the reports now. So it looks like last night we did have a. I guess this was around 2 o'clock. There was a brief tornado with a picture. So it looks like there's someone sending in a storm report from a possible squall line a couple hours ago that was south of Chicago. Sent in a report from maybe had a brief tornado spin up out there. Let me switch it to the last 24 hours. Because 3 hours really doesn't capture too much. Now these are the storm reports for the last 24 hours. So yeah, so we had some cells, we had some activity that was out towards the Bartersville region last night. So there was one uh, a reported tornado on the ground southeast of Hominy. That was north of Tulsa here, towards the Bartersville. Another rolled semi. One had possible trap occupant inside as well. This was all in the overnight hours, actually. Tornado crossing Highway 75. That was last night towards 8 o'clock. Yeah, it was just a big time hail threat down there into West Texas and Central Texas. Nothing really came out of that cell towards the Wichita Falls region. I was a little surprised last night. Wichita Falls was not as active as a lot of the models depicted earlier. But this all swung through Joplin. It swung into Springfield in the overnight. And then we just had numerous storm reports of large tree damage. So this ended up turning into just a nasty wind threat into the overnight hours. So just numerous reports of just wind threats, delayed reports, large number of tree branches and power lines down. So you can kind of get a better depiction on how this is all unfolded over the last 24 hours or so. And this was the morning activity as well. So there was a swath that went through this morning in the same sector that has the tornado watch right now. So we'll just click on some of these. Barn down with lots of damage and animals injured. Now here's another one. Numerous trees down in the western portions of the county. Countywide power outages. And then there's more activity into the Charleston region. Commercial building partially destroyed. Sounds like a lot of wind damage out there. Tree down with so just more trees down. Huntington. Widespread tree damage, power line damage, multiple structures, truck overturned. Hey, Jeff, how's it going, buddy? Planted some cabbage and onions the last 10 days. Gonna have some green beans. Looks like we did have a possible EF1 intensity tornado. This was Westwood, Kentucky. That was this morning. Photos submitted by Boyd County EMA clearly indicates a tornadic damage of at least EF1 intensity and 2 mobile homes destroyed. Some rolled trees, uprooted, snap branches. That was actually just this morning. Yeah, so that was the cell that that was the activity that just ran through this morning activity ahead of the main event. It looks like we had some larger hail down here towards Fayetteville as well. There's a 2-inch hailstone. There's a 2.2-inch hailstone. Yeah, 2.25 is your ping pong size hail. Oh, you got snow on the ground? Half-inch of snow on the ground. That's crazy. So Davenport, Iowa, weather on the go. That's crazy. So it's already cold enough up there to snow. Oh, there you go. There's Davenport. They're just getting the out fingers. So it's time to bust out your snow blower. Yeah, so yeah, that's the cold side of the storm. Yeah, if you're northwest of that low, that's you're getting the cold air. You're already entrenched in the cold air. Chicago's not into play any longer, so they will be more in line to get that colder air coming in, and likely end with some half-inch, 1-inch, maybe even some 2-inch reports of snow up there. It's likely eastern Wisconsin is likely going to be picking up, a good possibly 3 to 6 inches in spots. And that low pressure continues to wrap around, and that would likely get into Indiana as well as and even into portions of Ohio. So these areas that could get hit hard with severe storms and possibly tornadoes would likely all end with a little bit of dusting of snow on the backside. I waited to plant my garden until the hail threat was gone. Yeah, so we have several severe thunderstorm warnings now. Um, Here's a possible tag. So let's look at this one in Indiana. All right, so this one has a possible tag on it. Yeah, so brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This was northern Orange County. This is also moving at 55 miles an hour. This is south of the Bloomington region, so northeast of the Jasper region. Hmm. I'm waiting until after the 15th or so in Sweetwater, Tennessee, frost threat. Yeah, it is one of those things that it can, you can still get some cold shots, especially with, these stronger cold fronts, clear skies, light winds. Mm. Thanks for tuning in to the live stream, folks. Yeah, we did have one brief tornado warning earlier, about an hour ago on this stream. It showed, it looked like it was about to turn, but then it quickly flattened out, and yeah, and the tornado warning pretty much expired about 5 minutes after that. Yeah, so it's been pretty busy the last couple of days. Of course, I do a video every single day. I did a video this morning already, and then we were live last night for about 6.5 hours, and so we've been live here about 2 hours now. These watches, what you're looking at, go on till about 10 o'clock. So these go on till about 10 o'clock time frame, and then it turns further south into the evening time. So we're likely going to get some watches extended towards the evening, down there towards Birmingham into Montgomery, likely possibly in the Jackson region. I would think this eventually heads into Atlanta towards 10, 11, midnight time frame. And this will continue to push off to the east and eventually head towards Charlotte, Greensboro, and then sets up a renewed threat tomorrow in Virginia, North Carolina. And then the southern flank of that storm too will get active in Florida, especially for those areas into Tampa, into Orlando, into Gainesville. Those look to get active tomorrow as well. Yeah, so this is that storm threat in Tupelo, Mississippi. Yeah, so brand new severe thunderstorm warning, borderline severe threat. These storms further south just continue to race 50 miles an hour northeast. Hey, I can't believe it's 69 degrees right now in southwestern corner of Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's compliments of the warm front. You see it bowing out right there? Yeah, that warm air continues to lift northeast, spiking those temperatures. Yeah, ironically, you're actually warmer at your place than it is in Dallas right now. There's no way we're 69. Yeah, 61 degrees in Dallas. Yeah, so you're definitely warmer. Oh wow, look at that, folks. That was a 92 mile per hour wind. That was actually this morning at 9:30 in West Virginia. 92 miles an hour, just south of Huntington. Yeah, that actually beat yesterday. There was an 88 report yesterday. 92 miles an hour. That's significant winds there, folks. Yeah, and that happened about 6 hours ago. You can, and yeah, and look at all the storm reports. Yeah, that's why we got numerous storm reports out of that area. Trees and power lines down. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, fire department, building destroyed with severe damage to other structures. Yeah, that's every bit, you got EF0 65 to 85 miles an hour, you got EF1. I mean, that would be equivalent to an EF1 tornado with these straight line winds that moved across. And you can see that same cell just continue to move east with likely significant wind damage from Huntington to Charleston. And that was the morning activity. Looks like we just got it confirmed. That was this morning as well. One report of golf ball size hail south of Bloomington. Yeah, so that morning activity was really active. And, right now, maybe that worked over the atmosphere a lot, which is impending this new development. It's 3:30, but it's been overall fairly tame. We had one tornado warning for about 7 minutes or so, that came out of Evansville, and this is the same cell that's basically continued to be more amplified because we have got severe thunderstorm warning tags continue to push east. So they did in fact extend that tornado watch earlier, that would include Cincinnati and Dayton back up to Columbus. Um, yeah, so we're just continuing to watch these cells. Still moving off to the east. We've got several severe thunderstorm warnings associated with them. Most of these are kind of borderline severe. Nothing even with significant tags. Most of them do show some possible rotation, but technically they're borderline severe. But yeah, I live streamed about 6.5 hours yesterday, and I definitely wanted to kind of come on board this morning or this afternoon after I did my video this morning. But it definitely appears it's going to be possibly really unsettled this evening. Right now, it's continued to remain on the tamer side, but we do have those tornado watches that does include until that 10 o'clock time frame. Mm. Yeah, I know these live streams. You got back to back days like this. It can definitely kind of wear you out. You kind of lose your voice over a period of time. You get a lot of dry mouth. Mm. But these storms, yeah, are continue to push east. So I appreciate everybody watching the live stream. Appreciate you liking the live stream as well and subscribing to the channel. Definitely appreciate all the new supporters out there. Definitely to Rodberry for gifting those membership donations, and for Stormy and Snowy's for always helping out the channel. Some of the donations that came in as well, greatly appreciated. I'll be making, like I said, I have a new microphone. I'll be making improvements on the way I do some of these videos, as well as my live streams. So hopefully next time with this next event possibly coming up, that we'll have a little bit more support and help and different stuff to be able to help you out. And but yeah, this threat's going to continue through the evening time frame. So don't let your guard down if you are into the southeast, into Kentucky, as well as into Ohio. It's going to be these watches will continue through at least 10 that will likely get extended into the evening and eventually swing off into the East Coast. So it's going to be a very active next 24 hours or so. But once this system moves out, then we should have some much clearing out and a couple of nice days on the backside with some cooler conditions as well. So but I appreciate everyone tuning in. I did about 6.5 hours of live stream yesterday. We're about 2 hours now, and so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna probably go ahead and end the stream. And so I definitely appreciate you tuning in for the live stream, and yeah, just be safe out there. I'll be making some posts on Twitter or something if things get crazy, and if it just gets crazy tonight, then I will definitely come back on with the live stream as well. All right, y'all be safe out there. Take care, be safe, and enjoy the rest of your day.